Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name is Jaime Escalante.
I'm Londa Sherwood-Austin. Welcome back. I didn't know we were doing play names at the beginning, but when I was a kid, my play name was always Jessie.
Jaime Escalante was the teacher in the book and film Stand and Deliver.
Jessie Lee.
Okay. Jessie Lee was your...
Always my pretend play name.
I like that.
I don't know
Jessie
why.
Lee.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what was going on here. Still don't.
How come people can't give themselves nicknames? I've been trying to launch Gator for the last couple of years because I grew up in Louisiana. It doesn't work. You cannot give yourself a nickname. Hey, Gator, how you doing? Nope, doesn't work.
Okay, well, as long as we're on that, grandparents that name themselves for their grandkids, I don't like it.
You don't like it? Tell me more.
Gigi, Glampa. I mean, what?
Gator.
Glamma. She calls me Glamma. What?
No, she doesn't.
You know what I think is adorable is when it's natural. If people naturally nickname you like the way that Diana, our granddaughter, who has only ever heard you called Grandpa her whole entire 2-year life,
right?
Decided on her own, Papa. Papa would be your name. I think that's really cute.
I was pushing for Gator hard, but no, it's Papa, which I think is nice. It's a little bit of a disappointment for me, but Papa. No, I love it. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird about nicknames that people can't launch their own nicknames?
I think it's weird that you want to launch your own nickname.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not a thing. It's an impossibility. You cannot do it. Like, what would we call you? If you were going to have a nickname.
I can tell you a few things I have been called.
Okay.
They're not names that I want sticking around, but I think at the end of the day, let's just be real. You can't really nickname yourself.
You sure can't.
Just like apparently you can't work from home anymore.
Well, it's funny that you say that. This morning, I was listening to
It's not funny. It was a segue.
This morning, I was listening to the Ray Didio in my car because they still put them there. And I heard about the shift in workplace language that is happening now, and it's coming straight out of the mouths of CEOs.
Tell me about it. Here's the thing. He started to tell me about this earlier, and I was like, no. Save it for the podcast.
Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, dubbed by Barron's the king of banks, lost his mind on a Zoom call and the audio was leaked. I think this happened about a week ago. But he was up there, quoted by all the news, quoted by everybody, right? He's the guy that you go to when you want to talk about the economy. He's in some meeting and he starts dropping F-bombs about how since COVID, he's been going into work every single day, 7 days a week, and it's empty and he's looking around and where is everybody? It was a rant about how he's sick and tired of people working from home. Sick and tired. Dropping F-bombs. I'm here during COVID 7 days a week. Where is everybody?
That didn't have an F-bomb.
Well, no, I'm not going to say it, but that... He dropped the F-bomb.
Your language is so clean.
A lot of GDs, a lot of bull S's. It was crazy, right? And I think it's because they have a lot of commercial real estate that nobody's going to. No. I think that's what it was all about.
So I want to come back to this, but do you remember during COVID, I said right now is the time to snatch up commercial real estate.
Yes.
If you have the wherewithal, go buy commercial and hold it, because there will come a time, there will come a day when everyone goes back to the workplace in droves and you can buy it for nothing right now.
Right.
And it is going to have value again in the future, and apparently we're seeing that. So,
and with Jamie Dimon doing it,
so I have a question.
Other CEOs are going to be doing it.
I have a couple of questions about this because I didn't see it and I haven't heard anything about it. And so I'm fascinated. First of all, you said it was a Zoom meeting.
It was a meeting where he was sick and tired of people in Zoom meetings not paying attention. And then he looked at what they are doing during the Zoom meeting.
Well, who was on the Zoom meeting? Was it like his leadership team?
No, I think it was corporate wide. Oh. I don't know for sure.
Oh,
you can
I'd be curious
see the video, though. It's really just the audio. You can see the audio at barrons.com. I found it on Barron's website. I found it on YouTube. All I had to do was type in Jamie Dimon rant, and it was everywhere. Dimon, Jamie Dimon rant. And it popped up in 77 places on my computer.
So he's the CEO of
JP Morgan.
JP Morgan. And JP Morgan is?
JP Morgan Chase Bank.
Okay.
Big bank. Called by Barron's the king of banks.
Okay. And Barron's is?
Financial publication.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So what? So this guy lost his mind and?
Well, but he lost his mind about what's happening in the workplace. And
can I give a guess?
Sure.
Upper middle-aged?
60s, late 60s, old age.
Late
well,
60s.
I
got news for you. That's upper middle-aged, friend. The closer you get to it, the more it feels like.
Well, when people are regularly living to 136, it'll be upper middle age. Right now, it's old age. The average is like 74, isn't it?
That was painful.
It's true,
and
though.
I think a little ugly, if I'm being honest. So I'm kind of not surprised by that.
And the criticism that you can find online about it is these old white men are dinosaurs.
It's kind of where I was going.
Oh, yeah. That's obvious criticism. One person said the entire Congress, all CEOs, and the president all need to be thrown out because they're too old. They don't represent us. And then I saw another person say, and look at this. Now the Pope's another old white guy. I heard that when I was doing this research for the show.
So this is interesting. I'm curious about, I sometimes talk about one of the things that I feel like makes us really good at what we do in our business, real estate and lending, is our experience.
Sure.
There's not a situation that we haven't been through, right? I told a story a couple weeks ago about someone, this was on social media, I shared about this client of ours that's selling their mother's home because the mom has passed on, and now we've got this home in a state, and I talked about we've done that, right? We're in the middle of, we just finished one and we're starting a new one, working with people who are either divorced and selling the home they had together, or are divorcing and selling the home they had together. And, again, been there, done that personally. And so the experience that comes only with time, age. So how do you, I understand the frustration of what typically in social media is called old white men.
Right.
I understand the frustration about that.
Sure.
I do. At the same time, there's some, there is just wisdom and understanding that comes with time and experience. And so where's the balance?
That's a great question.
I get that. Like just even in my business in real estate, right? Okay. I understand that sometimes people want to work with a young, brand new realtor because they've got all the hustle, all the drive, all the whatever.
Sure.
Right? I get that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely nothing wrong with it. And hopefully they've got a mentor because they're for sure going to run into stuff they've never seen before and not know what to do. And the reason I know that is not because they're young, not because they're brand new, but because I still, with all my time and age and, wisdom and experience, yeah, at my wizened age, I still almost every day in this business run into brand new situations. I was just telling someone, I've got a listing coming up June 1st, and I'm scared to death because I've never listed anything like this property before, ever in my whole career. And I'm scared, and I'm getting other people's, other more experienced agents, I'm getting their eyes on it to give me an opinion of value. I'm being like the most humble human ever as I do the groundwork and the preliminary work of really knowing, getting my ducks in a row, knowing what I'm dealing with so that I can give my client the very best of me.
Sure.
Right? So every day in this business, you're learning new things. And and you just better have somebody in your corner. I don't know what I'm saying, but I guess going back to like, I don't think you can throw out every quote old white guy and what they have to say. Doesn't everybody have value?
I think so. And that's part of the language that I am interested in, right? Never in my memory have people so subdivided the workforce, the patriarchy, it was just Mother's Day, so the matriarchy. I mean, I've not seen so many people point out the heritage and age of people.
Oh,
I have not seen it ever before.
As the talk is more and more about being inclusive, but the language is so exclusive.
Yes.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Now, having said all that, this guy really messed up.
Well, you know what? Maybe it was pre-planned. Maybe the audio wasn't leaked, and maybe he wanted to change the conversation in the workplace. I don't know that. How often do you hear CEOs' private meetings leak? How often do you hear that?
I think that you don't hear it very often at all unless it's done on purpose.
Well, there you go.
That's an interesting take.
Maybe. I'm sick and tired of people telling me they got to stay home on Thursdays because they work better from home on Thursday. You know what? Screw that. Let's dive bomb the whole thing.
Interesting.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know the guy. He doesn't call me and ask for advice before he holds his meetings. But I think it's interesting that that kind of thing is so different than what we heard even a year ago about quiet quitting and about how employees need to have their own set of standards and we're not going to do anything outside of our boundaries. Now we're shifting the conversation back to, no, you're getting paid, so you're going to do the job or go somewhere else. Jamie Dimon actually said that in his rant. If you don't like it, you don't have to work at JP Morgan. You can go somewhere else.
It sounds like somebody who's fed up.
It does. And it's interesting how quickly the language is turning.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. I don't know what it's about. I don't know why it's happening.
I'm an office person. I'm a show up to the office every day person. I just am. Maybe that's because that's the time, it's my generation or whatever. But I've worked from home very successfully.
Right.
But for me in real estate, I really prefer working in the office. I prefer that, like, I get up, I always say, get up, dress up, show up.
Right.
Get up, dress up,
there's
show up.
There's some synergy there.
Well, there's something that happens. Yeah, it's the synergy. There's something that happens when you're in the office and you're in this setting. And we've got, I'm looking around our office right now and we've got our big 1-year calendar over here and we've got whiteboards over here that have like the stuff that we're doing and our kind of our guiding values.
Sure.
And then some inspirational stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep on the wall, we keep all pictures of all of our closings for the year. Right. And that's very inspiring to me. And this is the place where we make the magic happen. Right. This is where we plan and we free flow ideas and that doesn't happen anyplace else.
Right.
I don't think.
Well,
along with that, I'm very loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
When our content director said to me, today I'm going to leave at, whatever time because this reason or that, I was like, okay.
And I was like, that be.
No, you didn't. I was like, right. So I'm pretty loosey-goosey.
If you don't want to work here, you don't have to work here. It's not about that.
Can you imagine?
I got a boundary for you. It's the parking lot. Get out of it.
Oh my God.
I think that's funny stuff.
I think that's good stuff. We entertain ourselves, if no one else. Well, it'll be interesting to me to see what happens, the fallout, if any.
Well, here's what the fallout's going to be. Other CEOs are going to say the exact same thing and maybe in a cleaner way, and people are going to have to go back to work. I think that's what that was about. I really do.
You know what?
And if you own your own business, if employees don't want to come in work, I bet it's hard for you.
Yeah.
You know, if you embroider T-shirts and the people want to work from home, you can't embroider T-shirts.
Yeah.
Unless you buy everybody the machine for their house. I mean, let's be practical, right? Sure. And if we want to talk about productivity, there are going to have to be long-range studies, not just during COVID time studies about remote working, like long-range studies, like years and years and years, right? Mm-hmm. How much productivity did we lose during COVID? Oh, no, we were much more productive because blah, 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 blah. That's not how a study really works, right? Right. A study works at, you look at a system over time and then you can decide whether or not that system was a good one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't either, but I would love to hear from you if you're listening or watching this podcast. I'm super interested in your opinion about this. I would love to get more feedback from our listeners and our viewers.
Okay.
We get some, but I'd love to get more. Man, I'm just like so interested in the human perspective.
Me too.
We want to know what you think. So let us know about this specifically or anything that you hear in this podcast. I want to shift now though, because we got a question about appraisals. Okay. So first, let's define what an appraisal is, and I think that would be a good thing for you to define for people, because a lot of people don't know what it is.
Okay. An appraisal is a value estimation of your home's worth done by an outside disinterested third party, someone who's not part of the contract negotiating.
In a home purchase.
Or commercial construction or anything. Appraisers can appraise anything, and what they do is they find the current value. In our
business. Yeah. In what we do, a lender will typically order an appraisal on a purchase of a home, and it's to protect whom? I mean,
it's to protect the bank from not loaning more money than the home is worth. If you have a securitized loan, the bank doesn't want to give you more credit than the home is worth because that puts them in a precarious position.
And my first mentor in real estate said to me, appraisers keep us honest.
That's interesting.
So that we don't overvalue homes.
I think appraisers protect the banks and lenders by not letting them overextend themselves. That's what I think appraisals do.
Right.
And it's not what a house is worth. The fair market value is what somebody's willing to pay for it. It's what the average would be willing to pay.
Based on sold like properties.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Generally.
And there are some listed properties, but they're not given the same weight as sold properties. Generally sold properties in the last 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And sooner if they're available.
Like properties. They have to be similar.
Yep.
Excuse me, all that kind of thing. So the question that we got is, if the appraisal happened and it's taking forever to get it back, what could be going wrong? Think about that for just a second. I want you to think about it.
Or what could be going right?
I'm going to give my answer, if that's okay.
Sure.
And then I want to go to you because you deal more with, well, I mean, we both deal with it, but it's like you have a different perspective from the lending side of it, and I come from the real estate side. Okay. So my answer to your question would be, what's going wrong? Probably nothing. Probably nothing. There's a due date, and you may not know what the due date is. I would say 9 times out of 10, if I have an appraisal that I feel like it's happened, but we haven't got it back yet, if I just call the lender and have a conversation, they say, oh, well, it's due back next Wednesday. Oh, okay. That appraiser just probably has it, in the order it was received. It's like when you go to a restaurant and your meal's taking forever, but you don't realize that like a 20 top came in right before you, and they got to do them in the order they came in.
Sure.
Could be as simple as that.
And I would say, if an appraisal takes a long time to get, you should ask yourself what's going right. Because what I think is going right, if it takes a long time to find the value, the appraiser is working overtime trying to find comps that support or disprove the value. They're not just slapping something on paper and saying, let's get this out the door today.
I gotcha.
They're working. And I've had, especially on VA loans, you've heard the word Tidewater a couple of times since we've been doing this as a partnership. Tidewater is a rule where the appraiser lets the parties know that they're having a hard time coming to value. By the way, it's the only loan product where that is appropriate language today. We used to years ago get calls from appraisers all the time and say, hey, I need some help finding value. Can you get me some comps? That's now not legal unless it's a VA loan and they invoke Tidewater.
And what that is let's say the purchase price is $425,000 and they're just not getting to, they're coming in typically quite a ways under that.
Right.
And they're like, I'm trying, but I'm not getting there. What are you guys seeing that I'm not seeing?
Right.
It is an incredible opportunity as the realtors for the one and only time to try to help them get to the value
before they deliver an appraisal and it's too late to help.
It's an incredible blessing of 24 hours, in my opinion.
I think it's 48 hours.
Oh, whatever it is.
Tidewater 48?
I don't know.
Sure. I think it's 48. But whatever the case, when they invoke Tidewater, you better get your ducks in a row and provide the evidence that you would provide normally ahead of time to justify value, right?
Yeah.
It's when I've seen list agents roll their eyes and get all upset because Tidewater was invoked. I, on the other hand, think it is a gift.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not going to deliver a $30,000 low appraisal. Let's all get together and see if you guys can find the comps to justify the value.
And again, that only happens if it is a VA loan.
Correct.
Which VA stands for?
Veterans Administration.
There you go. So, and it's rare that it happens.
Right.
It's quite rare, actually. I think it's happened twice in my whole career.
Yeah, and both in the last year, though, which is interesting, and I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means either, and it's none of my business, but we got them.
We haven't run a long-range study.
We got them through, and we got them closed, so that's what matters to me. And so the short answer to the question, if an appraisal's taking forever, what could be going wrong, is maybe nothing.
Maybe nothing. Now, in my 22 years of helping people buy houses, there are a few appraisers who have historically gone long with their appraisals. They're not appraisers anymore. I've seen that happen, and they've come and gone.
I think that the real answer is it's about communication.
Correct.
And, if you are the client, call your realtor, ask them to do a little bit of investigation, or call your lender if you're on that side of it, and ask the questions.
Sure. Hey, have you heard anything about the appraisal? I get this call all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard anything about the appraisal? Why, yes, I have. I hear it's due on Thursday at 5 p.m., so we'll be looking for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the answer is maybe nothing.
Maybe nothing. Probably if it's taking long, it's because the appraiser's trying to do good for everyone involved and justify the value.
I like that.
I think that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of appraisers in this market, and I don't know any of them who try on purpose to kill deals.
Oh, gosh, no. No, I don't know. That's funny that you say that, because we often talk about drama triangles, right?
Yep.
And in a drama triangle, there's always a villain, right?
Right.
And there's always a victim, and there's always a victor. Right. So that's kind of the drama triangle. Right. And that sometimes people involved in real estate transactions will try to create a villain by telling themselves a story. And who knows who the villain is? It could be the lender. It could be the realtor. It could be the client on the other side of the deal. It could be, it could be a contractor.
Sure.
Whatever. But they try to create a villain to make the story make sense. And I would say, and if an appraisal's going long, they might try to make the appraiser the villain.
Right.
And I would say, like, the antidote to that poison is communication.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely. Blaming another party is just like the server in the restaurant who says, I'm so mad at the kitchen. I can't believe they did that.
Yeah.
Well, the kitchen doesn't ever just make a meal akimbo.
Right.
They read the ticket and they make what's on the ticket.
Well, and here's what I would say to that.
I've never heard a chef say, you know what? They said they're allergic to garlic. Throw in the garlic in there. Never heard that before. I'm so mad at the kitchen. You forgot to write it down. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, I'll stop talking.
No, but what I was going to say though is everybody wants to get paid, and that's the thing to remember. If you're ever in this situation and you find yourself making a villain out of somebody involved in the situation, you might just back up and say, "Okay, does everybody want to get over the obstacles in this and get to the finish line?"
Yes.
And the answer is yes. It doesn't have to be a real estate transaction. It can be anything in life, by the way.
Yeah.
Does everybody want to get through this and get it to the finish line? And if the answer is yes, then maybe kind of unpack that internally, if you know what I mean, and figure out why you're needing to tell yourself a story, creating a drama triangle and creating a villain in the story. Because I know in real estate, everybody involved wants to get it across the finish line. And the reason we want to get it across the finish line is we feel good when we're successful. And closing day always feels great because it's successful. You've helped your client get from where they are to where they want to be.
Right.
And additionally, I like getting paid. That's the truth. I like when my bills are paid. I like when I get to travel. I like when I get to, that's really all I do. I work and I pay my bills and I travel. But I like having the freedom to do those things.
Sure.
So you can bet your ass I'm trying to get it across the finish line. I'm trying to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Don't make me or somebody else in this situation the villain. And we, I think, are unique in that way because we protect our team like our lives depend on it.
Sure.
You know, anybody involved in the transaction, the agent on the other side, their client, title and escrow, lending, inspectors, contractors, closing agent.
That's why we call them our success team, because we all play a part in the success of the transaction.
Yeah.
Every single person does.
Nobody's trying to dive bomb anything.
That's
We're all
exactly
trying
right.
to get it
But
done.
I can tell you this. Buying and selling a personal home is very emotional.
Yes.
And that's why if you're thinking about buying or selling a home, you need to work with people you trust and like, because you need to know that when it gets tough, you're going to have support.
Yeah.
You're going to have somebody who pats you on the back and tells you it's okay.
Yeah.
You're that person.
That's why you work with
do
us.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have a good laugh when you're looking at houses because I'm the guy that's going to make jokes. Do you know what I mean?
It's true.
So that's why you need to choose someone when you're involved in, and this is true in all businesses. People work with people they like and trust. That's just a fact, right? So be sure that that's the case because you're going to have a better experience if you have shared interests with the people that you spend time with. Yeah. It's just that simple.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Speaking of shared interests,
yes.
Have you seen anything recently? I know you love movies, you love TV shows, you love podcasts. Any recently that you think you want to share about or recommend, you know? We also, the restaurants, you know, any restaurant review you want to go over or...
Well, I here's one restaurant review that I'd like to talk about very briefly. Mother's Day.
Okay.
I heard a commercial on the radio about, yes, on the radio, which I listen to regularly because there's still one in my car. And I usually pull up the radio station on my iPhone, too, and I listen on there the same way. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I heard an advertisement for Bob's Burgers and Brew in Kennewick holding a big Mother's Day brunch. They used to, when they opened that location, have a Saturday and Sunday morning brunch every Saturday and Sunday. Well, I got to tell you, they did it up right this year we took 2 of the kids and 2 of their kids with us to brunch yesterday.
Which I don't want anybody to feel left out. It was happenstance.
Yeah, I
the
was
way
playing
that
disc
came
golf
about.
with James, so I invited him, and that was great.
It wasn't planned ahead.
Nope, not planned ahead. So anyway, we went and had such a beautiful experience. The food was outrageous. It was like going to
it was really good.
I
was
was really
surprised.
good Mother's Day brunch that just happened to be in the building at Bob's. The prime rib that they were cutting there at the meat carving station, beautiful. The made-to-order omelet, spectacular.
So it sounds like what you're saying is if Bob's Burger and Brew does a one-off special brunch for some holiday, call and get reservations. It's worth it.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I'd be thrilled if they just brought it back weekly, but I can't go that much. But for once a year, I'm all in. I'm all in Bob's Burgers and Brew. And let me tell you something.
I love it.
We enjoy going to Bob's sometimes because it's close to us in West Richland, but the quality hasn't been awesome. Well, boy, howdy, the quality was awesome on Mother's Day.
Well, there you go.
Those prawns were the size of my forearm. They were incredible. It was great. I think one of them was talking to me, and it had a deep voice. You want some shrimp? He was a jumbo shrimp. Anyway, that's my restaurant review nobody asked for. What a great time. I tipped 39%. That was my tip, 39%.
Well,
I was super happy, and I knew that my budget was $275, and I only spent $237. Mm-hmm. She was great. Loved it. Loved everything about it.
Well, there you go. There's a sucker born every minute. You're very generous when it
How
comes
about you?
to that. Nah, I got
You got nothing?
Well, a song that I heard recently. The artist is Maddie Zahm. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. Zahm. And just right before Mother's Day, released his song "Mothers and Daughters."
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a mother, which everyone does, maybe and a daughter, you may want to listen to it, and you might want tissues.
It's very sweet. The song is very sweet.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah.
But other than that, no.
I like how you received the song. 2 of your daughters sent it to you.
Yeah.
And said they can really relate. That's very sweet.
Yeah.
That's very sweet. Ada flipped us off when she heard the song and said, that song sucks.
No. No need to make a villain here in a drama triangle, David. But that's all I've got for today. I think there you have it, and there it is, David Austin.
That was easy. That was easy.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's
Anything
how we like
you want
to
to say
do
in the next 20 seconds as we end the show?
No, SherwoodAustin.com for all your real estate lending and podcasting needs.
You can
find
that.
everything you want at SherwoodAustin.com.
It'll take you to my application page if you want to do a loan application. It'll tell you all about who we are. It's a one-stop shop for all your lending and real estate needs. SherwoodAustin.com. I like that.
That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, for the prettiest girl in the world, Londa Joanne Sherwood Austin, who does look beautiful today. And I'm sad that you didn't show off your shoes because I love your shoes with that outfit. They're the coolest. Boom. Black and gold, y'all. What?
There you go.
I'm David Austin. We'll talk to you again next week. Bye-bye.